Hello and welcome to all my students pursuing their HSC board examinations in the month of March. As promised, here we are with the lectures on accountancy, economics and mathematics. All these three subjects are very important to most of you. So we begin with economics, your first subject. As you can see on the screen, there are 10 papers, 10 topics. Each of these topics are very important. As I had told you in my earlier lecture, what is going to be the paper pattern. So on that basis, from chapter number 2 to chapter number 10, each one is very important. Chapter number 1 is the beginning or the introduction to economics. So we begin with this topic because we do get 2 markers from chapter number 1. So shall we start? So the first chapter, as the name suggests, Introduction to Micro and Macroeconomics. So we are expected to know the difference between these two terms. Micro, as the name suggests, microeconomics, as the name suggests, is smallest or the millionth of a part, किसी भी चीज की सबसे छोटी चीज. Okay, so now what is expected from you? बहुत सारी definitions हैं. Guys, please अपना दिमाग मत परेशान करो in learning. Let us understand these terms so that when it is required, you will be able to write. So coming up to this, when it is expected, what do you mean by or define microeconomics? If at all you can learn a definition, good. If you can't learn a definition, then please understand, just write down this line, microeconomics means the smallest part of, or looking at something from a microscope and reading about an individual or a household or a particular firm, that is known as microeconomics. A simple definition. So micro means small, reading about a household, a particular firm or a particular household is known as microeconomics. No need to remember a definition. Now coming up to a question which can be asked from you is scope of microeconomics. As you can look at it, scope of microeconomics. Look at this diagram. It says 3 things: theory of product pricing, theory of factor pricing, theory of economic welfare. So there are PFE. So when I talk about microeconomics, 3 terms are PFE. This is talking about product pricing. This is talking about factor pricing. And this is talking about economic welfare. Let us take up each of these terms. First of all, let's talk about product pricing. Now guys, product pricing के लिए please remember just 2 terms. DS, demand and supply. What you need to write in the examination is that we are trying to find out that what is the price at which the seller is ready to sell and the consumer is ready to buy. So we are trying to find out what is the price of a product at which the consumer would be ready to buy and seller would be ready to sell. इसके बारे में डिटेल में आगे चैप्टर नंबर 3 है. अभी के लिए फॉर द पर्पस ऑफ राइटिंग रिमेंबर 2 टर्म्स. प्रोडक्ट प्राइसिंग के नीचे DS, राइट? आपके PFE में से P के नीचे DS. So this is demand and this is supply. Coming up to the next thing, theory of factor pricing. So now we are to the F. Now we are talking about the F, that is factor pricing. ग्रेड 10 से आप सब लोग फैक्टर ऑफ प्रोडक्शन के बारे में पढ़ते आ रहे हो. फैक्टर ऑफ प्रोडक्शन क्या होता है? लैंड, लेबर, कैपिटल, एंटरप्रेन्योर. Now guys, what is an entrepreneur looking for? The entrepreneur is looking out for profit. What is a labor looking for when he works for you? He's looking out for wages. When somebody puts his money, what is that person looking out for? Interest. And when you are actually taking the land for the purpose of doing your production, you will have to pay rent. अगर मैं इसको याद करने के हिसाब से बताऊं तो कैन यू रिमेंबर द वर्ड WIPR, दैट इज वाइपर. फैक्टर के आगे रिमेंबर द वर्ड वाइपर. वाइपर में W इज फॉर वेजेस विच यू पे टू द लेबरर, I is for the interest which you pay for the capital, P is for profit which you pay to the entrepreneur, and R is the rent which you pay for the land. So can you elaborate on this and write it down in the examination? Coming up to the third thing, that is theory of economic welfare. Now guys, whenever you talk about economic welfare, जब हम इकोनॉमिक वेलफेयर के बारे में बात करेंगे, देन गाइज यू नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड दैट वी नीड टू प्रोड्यूस or do anything for the purpose of maximization of satisfaction of the people. Ultimately हमारा purpose क्या है? Welfare कैसे होगा? When the people are going to be happier. So the economic welfare means we need to produce or we need to do something with which the profit or the welfare or the satisfaction of the people is maximized. So what are the terms which I am using? What are the terms which I am using? I am using the words called as satisfaction. I am using words like welfare. आप इन चीज़ों को ऐड कर दो and I am using words like maximization. Please remember these terms. Economic welfare के साथ the terms need to be remembered is satisfaction, maximization. किसका satisfaction maximize करना है आपको? People का. Now what is the line which is expected from you? What is it that you should know? How do you actually maximize the satisfaction? तो उसके लिए you need to understand that there are resources. इन resources को जब हम allocate करते हैं और properly when we use them, then only productivity is achieved at the best possible cost. And when things will be produced at the best possible cost, automatically there is going to be maximization of satisfaction because the consumer is going to get something at the lowest possible cost, a good quality good at a lowest possible cost. इसीलिए when we say economic welfare, please remember this, economic welfare means allocation and efficiency of resources. Allocation and efficiency, AE, allocation and efficiency of resources for the purpose, and what does it result in? In the maximization of satisfaction of people. I hope I am good. So आपको अगर क्वेश्चन आता है स्कोप ऑफ माइक्रो इकोनॉमिक्स, प्लीज रिमेंबर 3 थिंग्स. थियोरी ऑफ प्रोडक्ट प्राइसिंग P, थियोरी ऑफ फैक्टर प्राइसिंग F, थियोरी ऑफ इकोनॉमिक वेलफेयर. सो प्लीज रिमेंबर PFE, right? Under product pricing, remember DS, demand and supply. Under theory of factor pricing, please remember WIPR, WIPR. W is for wages, I is for interest, P is for profit, and R is for rent. And for theory of economic welfare, please remember the terms. It is allocation and efficiency of resources. What is the purpose of it? It is for the purpose of maximization of satisfaction of people. How do you achieve it? When you allocate resources and you are using them effectively, automatically the goods which you are producing are at the lowest possible cost. Now let's talk about the features of microeconomics. Features of microeconomics. Can you see that? Features of microeconomics. जैसे कि मैंने आपसे बोला था, माइक्रो मीन्स स्मॉल, माइक्रो मीन्स इंडिविजुअल. सो फर्स्ट फीचर क्या होगा? इट इज टॉकिंग अबाउट इंडिविजुअल यूनिट्स. It is talking about individual economic units, a firm, a particular household, a particular firm. So that's talking about study of individuals. So first feature of microeconomics is study of individual units. उसके अंदर आपको क्या लाइन लिखनी है? That it is a study of an individual household, individual firm. It is talking about individual price, etc. You get full marks. Now it is talking about that this is a theory of price. ये बहुत 2 मार्कर भी आ जाता है. Is microeconomics a theory of price? Yes, microeconomics is a theory of price. Remember product pricing? We talked about demand and supply. Exactly, this is what we are supposed to write down. Microeconomics deals with finding out the price of the goods at which the consumer would be ready to buy and seller would be ready to sell. So this is a price theory. Please remember this. Third coming up, it's a theory of partial equilibrium. Partial equilibrium. Now, why partial? इतनी सारी चीजें हैं इकोनॉमी के अंदर. अगर if we'll actually start looking into it, there are so many factors playing at the same time. अगर मुझे आज if I want to buy this dupatta, the intention would not be just कि इसका प्राइस कम हो. मे बी फैशन में है कि नहीं, कलर इज इन प्ले और नॉट. देयर आर सो मेनी फैक्टर्स. माई इनकम, माई फ्रेंड सर्कल, माई हैबिट, what is it that I love to wear? So many things are there, friends. अब सारी चीजें मैं कंसिडर करूंगी and then if I'll try to reach up to a solution, do you think it's possible? No. So when I say it's a theory of partial equilibrium, yeah, feature of microeconomics is that it's partial equilibrium because we try to strike a balance between 2 factors, right? And basically we are trying to find out the equilibrium position of an individual economic unit. Can you see that? This is the line which I am expecting from you in the examination. It deals with partial equilibrium, which analyzes equilibrium position of an individual economic unit. That is individual customer, individual firm, right? And इसी के connection में further it talks about, it is based on certain assumptions. Ceteris paribus, ये again 2 marker question है examination में. 2 marker, they may just ask you, write a short note on ceteris paribus. So you should know this is based on one of the feature of microeconomics, which says that the theories which we derive in microeconomics is based on certain assumptions. और वो assumption अभी थोड़ी देर पहले मैंने आपको बताया कि इतने सारे factors हैं, we can't have all those factors together. So we take 2 at a time. So basically when we are deriving anything in microeconomics, we work with this concept that other things remaining constant, ceteris paribus, other things remaining constant, right? So these assumptions are very very important because बिना assumptions के तो हम किसी भी theory पर reach कर ही नहीं पाएंगे. Coming up to the next, it uses the concept or the principle of marginalism. Now what is marginalism? This is one thing which I find most of my students coming up and they're asking me, मैम हमको समझ में नहीं आ रहा, हम याद करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं फिर हम भूल रहे हैं. तो मैं इसको बहुत सिंपल ढंग से आप लोग को एक्सप्लेन करने की कोशिश करती हूँ. Let's say that there's a birthday party in your house, right? And you have anyways ordered a 1 kg cake. Now 1 kg cake, let's say, is good for at least 20 people who come down to eat that cake, right? Now guys, तुमने सिर्फ 12 लोगों को पार्टी में बुलाया और केक 1 kg है. कितने लोग उसमें खा सकते हैं? उसके अंदर 20 लोग खा सकते हैं ना. Now 2 more of your friends just walk in. तुमको टेंशन होगा क्या कि मेरे पास केक नहीं है? केक तो है तुम्हारे पास, क्योंकि even if 8 more people come in, you don't have a problem. Why? Because you had called only for 12 people. You have a capacity to feed 8 more people a piece of cake. Am I correct? So there is no additional expenditure happening when 2 of your friends walk in and they're just wanting to have a piece of your cake, right? But You need to serve them with a cold drink. You need to serve them with, a puff, a vegetable puff. Now that you have called only as per the number of people you have invited. How many people you had invited? 12. तो आपने कितने वेजिटेबल पफ मंगाए हुए थे? 12. आपने कितनी कोल्ड ड्रिंक्स मंगाई हुई थी? 12. तो if 2 more of your people, friends walk in, what is the additional expenditure which you will be doing? It will be the expenditure of the vegetable puff and the cold drink bottle. Now this is marginalism. That is the cost of additional units. So marginalism का concept होता है, that is the change which is brought around by an additional unit. I hope I am very clear. So marginalism is very clear. अभी याद हो गया सबको? Coming up to the next thing. Analysis of market structure. Market structure. Guys, we'll be studying in detail about it in your chapters later on. We'll be talking about, something is coming up, no worries. So, ये होता रहता है, right? So, we'll be talking about the various market structure, perfect competition, monopoly, monopolistic. So, we'll be talking about the concept of perfect and imperfect market, but later on the chapters. But ये सारा feature है microeconomics का. And last but not the least, we are talking about limited scope. Why the scope is limited, guys? अब आप खुद बता दो क्यों scope limited है? Scope इसलिए limited है क्योंकि आप एक individual unit के बारे में पढ़ रहे हो ना. आप microeconomics की बात करते हो तो you're only talking about an individual unit. So, if I want to talk about the concept of unemployment or I want to talk about inflation, now that will be macroeconomics, right? So, if we actually look at it, the concept of, features of microeconomics is, there are 8 features which are mentioned, but I have only written 7 features. What is one feature जो मैंने नहीं बताया, मैं बाद में बताना चाहती थी, and that is slicing theory. A very important feature जो अलग से 2 marks के लिए भी आ सकता है. माइक्रोइकोनॉमिक्स को स्लाइसिंग थ्योरी क्यों कहा जाता है, या इज माइक्रोइकोनॉमिक्स अ स्लाइसिंग थ्योरी? द आंसर इज यस, इट्स अ स्लाइसिंग थ्योरी. इसको आप इस तरीके से समझो कि इकोनॉमिक्स इज सच अ ह्यूज और इट्स अ ह्यूज सब्जेक्ट. अब उसको पढ़ने के लिए आप उसको तोड़ के धीरे छोटे छोटे स्टेप्स में मिलियनथ यूनिट बना रहे हो ना. माइक्रोज मीन्स smaller parts. You're talking about an individual unit, you're talking about an individual firm, individual product, individual price. तो ये क्या है? Slicing ही तो है. तो if you want to write down the feature of microeconomics, how can you ignore this fact that microeconomics is a slicing theory? We are slicing each part and trying to find out a relationship. So microeconomics is all about splitting the whole economy into small individual units and then trying to find out a relationship. So the crux now is, guys, I think all of you have understood, microeconomics is all about studying individual units, it's all about studying product pricing, partial equilibrium, ceteris paribus, marginalism, market structures, limited scope and slicing. Can we try to find out something or make some acronym for ourselves so that we remember? कितनी बार P आ रहा है? 2 times. Can we write down P square? कितनी बार M आ रहा है? 2 times M square. Can I take the L from here? Can I take the I from here? Can I take the C from here and S from here? So what is it? If at all features of microeconomics मुझसे पूछा जाता है तो can I remember P square M square licks, wherein one P stands for it's a theory of price, the other P stands for it's a theory of partial equilibrium. M square में the first M stands for marginalism, the second M stands for market structure, L stands for limited scopes, I stands for individual units, C stands for ceteris paribus and S stands for slicing theory. Now let's understand and try to memorize what is the importance of microeconomics. If we get this question for like 2 marks, और मे बी वी ऑल्सो गेट क्वेश्चंस लाइक असर्शंस में भी ये चीज़ पूछ ली जाती है. सो इम्पॉर्टेंस ऑफ माइक्रो इकोनॉमिक्स, एज यू कैन सी द टेक्स्ट. पहला इंपॉर्टेंस, प्राइस डिटर्मिनेशन. आई डोंट थिंक वी नीड टू टॉक अबाउट इट्स. प्राइस डिटर्मिनेशन, माइक्रो इकोनॉमिक्स आए तो प्राइस थियोरी, प्राइस डिटर्मिनेशन, कितने पे प्रोडक्ट बिकेगा, कितना क्या वेरियस फैक्टर्स ऑफ प्रोडक्शन, कैसे उनकी कॉस्टिंग होगी, ये सब कुछ माइक्रो इकोनॉमिक्स हमको बताता है. सो द फर्स्ट इंपॉर्टेंट व्हाई माइक्रो इकोनॉमिक्स इज इंपॉर्टेंट इज प्राइस डिटर्मिनेशन. फ्री मार्केट इकोनॉमी. Now guys, when we talk about free market economy, 3 सवाल. क्या बनाना है, what, right, what to produce. कितना बनाना है, that is how much to produce. और कैसे बनाना है, how will I produce. ये 3 क्वेश्चंस दिमाग में ध्यान रख लो. और ये कोई बहुत बड़े क्वेश्चंस नहीं है. तुम्हारे घर में एक नॉर्मल बर्थडे पार्टी भी होती है तो तुम ये बोलते हो ना, क्या मेन्यू होगा, कैसे बनाया जाएगा, कितना बनाया जाएगा. तो वही सवाल जो है माइक्रो इकोनॉमिक्स क्वेश्चन करता है. कमिंग अप टू द नेक्स्ट, फॉरेन ट्रेड. अब गाइज, बिटवीन 2 कंट्रीज कितना टैरिफ लगना चाहिए, राइट, किस कमोडिटी पे कितना टैरिफ लगना चाहिए, ऑल दिस इज अ पार्ट ऑफ माइक्रो इकोनॉमिक्स बिकॉज इट्स ऑल अबाउट pricing. We'll be reading it further. Coming up, it is economic model. अगर आप देखिए, मैं headers को change नहीं कर रही हूँ. I'm keeping the headers exactly the same which is referred in your textbook. Reason is that's how you're going to get marks. So please do not try to change the headers. I am not changing it. You are not supposed to change it. So economic model building. Now economic model building, क्या मतलब हुआ इसका? कॉम्प्लेक्स सिचुएशन को या कॉम्प्लेक्स प्रॉब्लम को तोड़कर उसको इजी ढंग से समझना. सो माइक्रो इकोनॉमिक्स इज ऑल अबाउट इतनी बड़ी इकोनॉमिक्स को, इतनी बड़ी इकोनॉमी को के प्रॉब्लम्स को वो स्लाइस करता है, छोटा छोटा तोड़ता है. सो ऑब्वियसली इट्स एन इकोनॉमिक बिल्डिंग एक्टिविटी वेयर इन कॉम्प्लेक्स इकोनॉमिक सिचुएशंस आर actually very easily evaluated with the theories and fundamentals of economics. So it has made a valuable contribution to economics by developing various concepts, tools, terminologies, right? So आपको सिर्फ इतना याद रखना है that it helps you to solve complex situations. Coming up, next is business decisions. गाइस, थोड़ी देर पहले मैंने आपको एग्जाम्पल दिया था ऑफ योर बर्थडे, राइट. वहाँ पर भी आपके लिए डिसीजन लेना आसान हुआ ना कि यार मुझे केक तो और नहीं मंगाना पड़ेगा, सिर्फ मुझे कोल्ड ड्रिंक और पफ के ऊपर पैसा खर्च करना पड़ेगा ना. इमेजिन इफ इट्स अ बिजनेस, राइट, हाउ डू यू अप्लाई इट. यू नो दैट यू हैव गॉट अ सेटअप. अगेन मैं इसको एग्जाम्पल से बोलती हूँ. से मेरी क्लास में 50 चेयर्स हैं एंड आई हैव अ कैपेसिटी टू टेक अप 50 स्टूडेंट्स इन माई क्लास. अभी सिर्फ 40 एडमिशन्स हुए हैं. द टीचर हियर इज बीइंग पेड आवरली. द टीचर इज नॉट बॉदर्ड वेदर देर आर 10 स्टूडेंट्स सिटिंग इन द क्लास और 40 सिटिंग इन द क्लास और 50 सिटिंग इन द क्लास. सो इफ आई गेट वन मोर एडमिशन एंड दैट स्टूडेंट इज लाइक, मैम आई डोंट वांट टू पे मोर और आई डोंट हैव द कैपेसिटी टू पे और व्हाटएवर, that student is not ready to pay the normal fees which we are charging. Now the biggest question in front of me is, can I take up that student? The answer is yes, if my student is ready to pay. How much I'll be spending marginally on that student. मतलब कि टीचर का खर्चा, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर का खर्चा तो नहीं होने वाला क्योंकि क्लास में तो 40 स्टूडेंट्स ही बैठ रहे हैं. तो इफ आई टेक वन मोर स्टूडेंट इट विल नॉट मेक अ डिफरेंस. दीज एक्सपेंसेस विल नॉट चेंज. बट द वेरिएबल मीन्स द एक्सपेंडिचर और द मार्जिनल एक्सपेंस विच आई नीड टू incur when my new student comes in is, let's say, 100 rupees per hour. If that student is ready to pay me 110, right, the other students may be paying 200 or 250, that's not important. I can take up a business decision. Why? Because my variable cost or the marginal cost of him sitting in my class is only 100 and that child is ready to pay me 110. ये कहाँ से आया? ये इकोनॉमिक्स, माइक्रो इकोनॉमिक्स के जो कंसेप्ट्स हैं वहाँ से आया. सो इट हेल्प्स यू टू टेक अप योर बिजनेस डिसीजंस. ऑफ कोर्स it has to be useful to government. How it is going to be useful to government? Because इतनी सारी economic policies हैं, taxation policies हैं, resources कैसे allocate करें, उन सब में मदद करता है microeconomics. And of course, it's the basis of this is welfare. Microeconomics is all about optimization. Microeconomics is all about optimization, best use of resources. अब guys याद कैसे करें? Can we make out the mnemonics out of it? We see 1P, we see 2F, we see 1E and BUW, right? So can we make some word out of it, right? I think we can make WOOB PF square. WOOB PF square. वूब में W इज फॉर वेलफेयर. जब भी वेलफेयर आए तो आप क्या लिखोगे? माइक्रो इकोनॉमिक्स इज ऑल अबाउट ऑप्टिमाइजेशन एंड यूसेज ऑफ रिसोर्सेज, एलोकेशन ऑफ रिसोर्सेज. सो इट्स helping, it is the importance of microeconomics is it brings about welfare. So that's the W. When you talk about you need to remember it is useful to the government. Government के बारे में लिखोगे तो you'll say it helps you to determine your taxation policy, economic policies. When you talk about B, you need to understand it helps you to take business decisions. Business decisions में please remember the concept of marginalism. When you talk about E, it helps you to solve complex problems. याद हो गई? W के साथ optimization and usage of resources. U is for government, तो taxation and economic policies. B is for your business decisions, so marginalism, and E is for economic model. So you have to remember complex problems का solution. तो वो भी याद हो गया. 4 बातें importance याद हो गई. PF square. P is price determination. Remember your price theory. 2 F's are, one is free market. 3 सवाल, क्या बनाऊं, कैसे बनाऊं, कितना बनाऊं, and yes, it helps you to fix the tariff. I think आज हमने बहुत सारी चीजें याद कर ली. माइक्रो इकोनॉमिक्स क्या होता है, उसकी इंपॉर्टेंस, उसका स्कोप, राइट, उसके फीचर्स. So see you all in my next session where we'll be talking about macroeconomics. See ya.